guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for another one of our 3 in 30 alphabet challenges. We're up to letter R. So for letter R, I thought we would use ribbons. I don't know about you guys, but I have loads of ribbons. Again, have a bit of a weakness for ribbons like I do with paper and things, and just buy them. Ugh, if I see ribbons that I think are pretty, and then obviously they sit in my stash and generally, you know, don't necessarily overly get used. So I thought we'd come along and have a play with some ribbons. Now, I haven't got a concrete plan of what I've got, you know, in mind. I have got a couple of ideas, which I've brought things along for. So we'll just crack on and see how we get on, basically. Fingers crossed we're going to, you know, achieve the goal. So if you want to craft along and join in with the challenge, what I have brought along is obviously a bunch of ribbons. I've also got this pink ribbon here, and I've kind of piled up the stuff that I'm going to make with this one. And then I've got some little fabric embellishments which I've made, you know, yonks ago, and just brought them in for the purposes of this. I've got some old jewellery that I'm going to attach to this ribbon, I think. I've got some lace and things, and what else have I got? The book page, yep, some more of the fabric type pieces. I've obviously got some trim and bling and things like that. Lace, more fabric pieces, just a whole abundance of stuff so that I've got things to pull from should I fancy pulling it in. I've got my fabric glue, which I'm going to obviously be using to stick things on. I've got a needle and thread because I think I'm going to be stitching like the jewellery piece on, so that's that. I've got my distress ink pad and blending tool, and I've also got my tacky glue, and of course I've got my scissors. Oh, and I've also got those gorgeous gold painted flowers that Laura gifted me, so I'm going to possibly use some of those. I think that's everything. Oh, got a little flower there. I think that's everything that I'm going to be using for this. But of course, you know, bring in anything that you think that you might want to use for your challenge. So let me get my timer set up. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, my phone's very slow, so just takes a while to kick in. Now, I don't know whether I've zoomed in a bit much or something. Right, hopefully that's a bit better. Is that a bit better? Right, let's turn that round. Oh, what's that glare? Got something glaring on my screen of my phone. Right, I'm going to try and keep my phone here. I will try my best to keep it in view, but obviously as the challenge goes by, it may well get covered up with something or sort of pushed out of the way as I run out of space. So I think that's all that we're going to need. So I'm going to click start and we'll get cracking. So ready, get set, go. Okay, so the first piece that I thought we could do is I've got this wide ribbon. Now, when it's that textured ribbon, is that called Grosgrain ribbon, I think. And I've got some book page, and I thought, first of all, I'm just going to make a belly band piece. So all I'm going to do is glue some of my book page together so it's kind of thickened. And obviously I'm wanting this quite thick because it's going to have ribbon on it, and then kind of some more heavier, or some slightly heavier, you know, embellishment pieces on it. So I need it to be thicker than your average piece of book page. So I wouldn't normally use quite so much as this, but I was going to say use 4, but actually I could probably get away with 3, I think, because maybe I'm kind of overdoing it with 4. So I'm just going to tear out the 4th one, which is the middle one. Otherwise it might be kind of really, really stiff and have no movement whatsoever left in it. So I just will go around it again. Okie dokie. Right, I'm pretty sure that this is a bit longer than A4 size. So yeah, I'm going to just trim it down at the top and the bottom. So that's why I didn't glue right to the edges of this one. You know, because I knew all along that I was going to be trimming it down slightly. Okay, so there's that piece. Now, I've got this ribbon, which as you can see is this gorgeous colour blue. This is a bit that I've just trialled to see how it would look distressed. I mean, I quite like it either way, I have to be honest. But probably for our vintage pieces, it is better distressed. Now, I couldn't find any vintage photo when I went to buy my vintage photo this time. So I am using walnut stain, which I've had this before, but it was years and years ago, and it seems very dark. So I'm going to just be trying to be a bit mindful of that and kind of, you know, going a little bit easy with it. So I say that now, I'm sure there's going to come a point in this video where I forget that that's what I said, and I'm going to just plonk my distress blending tool in, and it will end up so dark that it will be practically unusable. Right, so that's the book page a bit more sort of distressed there. Now I'm going to just distress the ribbon, and I mean, as you can see, I really overdid it there, so I'm going to try and get it not quite as dark as that, but obviously darker than it is in its brand new state. And I'm just kind of splodging it onto the book page so as it just takes off that initial, you know, bit of ink from the blender. So I'll just go a little bit further like that. Okay, right, so we'll pull this back on. Now obviously if I had my sewing machine here, this would be absolutely ideal time to probably stitch my ribbon on and probably stitch around the whole of the belly band piece. But as you know, I don't have my sewing machine here, so I mean, short of actually, you know, again having to run downstairs, stitch it and come back, which obviously in my 3 in 30 challenge would be pushing it somewhat, I'm just going to use my glue. Now I brought along this white lace, which I thought I would put under here, but I'm just wondering whether actually I would prefer to have my, oh, I'm sure I just knocked something into my bin. I hope it wasn't something crucial that I'm going to want at a later stage. It probably was. I'm actually thinking it might be nicer to have it like that. And then the ribbon is kind of more the star of the show, which I guess it probably should be as the challenge is ribbons. So let me try and get a straightish piece. So if we go for that one, I think, and we'll just pop it there. I'm just going to trim this down here, and then I'm going to just try and trim it along here. Obviously it doesn't need to be perfect, you know, we like a bit of rustic charm, don't we? And you know, it's not going to look too brilliant if it's actually completely perfect, I don't think. So you want it, you know, a little bit skew-iff, I suppose. So like that, I'm going to get my fabric glue. Oops, it's all gunked up, so I'll just glue that down. Come on, glue. Come on. Right. Okay, got there eventually. So yeah, I mean, obviously if you've got your sewing machine to hand, then you could obviously, you know, glue a piece on if you were doing something similar to this. Like that. And then I'm just looking around to see if I've got my dry wet wipes. And no, oh yes, I have, yet. For a minute I thought, oh great, now I haven't got those. all disorganised. Okay, so now I'm just going to pop down my ribbon. Super excited because a few more people are joining in the alphabet challenge now. I know that Emily from Ephemera's Treasures, she did, I don't know whether she's still continuing actually. I don't know about you guys, but what happens is where I have such a lot of, you know, subscriptions now, and then when I go on and it has the recommended videos and things, things just get pushed further and down, you know, further down the list. But I know that she did do a few, and Pam from the Paper Outpost, she's joining in. Rachel, obviously at Roxy Creations, she also is joining in, and she's doing fantastically well because she's catching up by doing one a day, because she's only just started doing this, but she's actually doing one a day. I think today, as I'm filming this, she's just done 8, I think. But I mean, obviously by the time this goes up on Saturday, she will have presumably got 5 ahead of that. And obviously while I'm waffling on and doing a video, I can't calculate where that would be to the alphabet, but she's catching up super fast. So it's almost like she's doing that 100-day project again. She probably feels like that too. Anyway, and yeah, so she's doing it, so that's very exciting. And she, I think, has set a challenge for Gail Agostinelli to join in as well, so I would love that if Gail did. Gail did leave a comment saying that you know, she's obviously really busy, and I think she's got like quite a lot of projects on the go. She's doing like the December daily and things like that, so she said that she, you know, she might get round to doing it in January, so that would be super exciting if she also joined in. So yeah, I feel really thrilled that people are joining in. It is a really fun one. I mean, I know that the timer is kind of off-putting for a lot of people, but it is equally, it gets you thinking outside the box and thinking in a different way, which I find quite nice, because it's nice to challenge yourself, you know, to operate in a different way and do different things, isn't it? Work differently. So I actually find them really quite exhilarating in a sort of strange way. Right, so that's that piece. Now all that is that I have glued onto there, this is just a stamped fabric piece. So it's just a stamp on fabric and then stitched around onto some burlap or hessian, and that's it. And don't they just make the cutest embellishments? And then here I've just got some pearly trim, so I might just put some pearly trim down there at the bottom. Oops, like that. Oh gosh, what's going on with my glue here? So I'm just going to put some pearly trim across the bottom, and then I might put some at the top as well. So I can't believe that we're on cue already. I know I've said this every week and it's just so boring to hear, but I genuinely can't believe it. The time is flying, and when I first started doing these alphabet challenges, it felt like, you know, enormous. Well, because obviously it was 26 weeks, so that felt like an enormous undertaking. It was kind of like, wow, that's loads. But my gosh, it has absolutely flown. And here we are already at letter Q. Sorry, at letter R. Sorry, for some reason I then was referring to letter Q. No, here we are already at letter R. So it's absolutely flying. All right, here we go. I don't know how many weeks there are now until Christmas actually, but maybe five weeks, something like that. Actually, I don't know what day of the week Christmas is this year. I should have a look. Yeah, I should have a look, because that might just interfere with our schedule. Honestly, how ridiculous. No, I'll have to have a look and kind of see how the schedule will be for that time, because obviously there's no point uploading the video on days that people are going to be super busy. But then having said that, you know, there are sometimes obviously people who, you know, might not be having a, you know, a big family Christmas or even a nice, you know, great time at all. And then that might be quite nice for them to have some stuff on. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Right. Just see whether any of these little gold painted flowers would look good on here. They're really pretty, aren't they? Oh, that's really nice. Thank you, Laura, for gifting me these. They're really super sweet and they feel awesome. Some are really thick. Now, I don't know whether they're just ones that are actually stuck together and perhaps there's 2 flowers, or whether they've got more paint on. I can't kind of work it out, but they're really nice, aren't they? So that's that one. And do we want a little diamante bit or something in the middle of that? Just having a look. Oh, come on. I just happen to have this little diamante bit just there. Yeah, let's have that in the middle. Oh my gosh, look at the time. Now this is, I find, how these alphabet challenges go. You sort of start off and you think, oh, I've got bags of time, and then suddenly you look and it's like, oh my gosh, look at where the time is. Right, I'm going to leave that piece now because I will be here all day faffing around with that, but I like how that looks. So move that to one side. Now the next piece that I thought we could do, and I've layered the pieces up so that I was slightly ahead of the game here, and what I thought we could do is make a bookmark. Now I googled, obviously, you know, some ideas basically for ribbons, and one of the most popular things to do obviously is ribbon bookmarks, and they look absolutely gorgeous, like really really pretty. However, they all seem to have these metal, I can't remember what they're called now. I did end up Googling those, but obviously I didn't then have time to actually order them and them arrive by the time that I needed to film the video. But these metal kind of finishing bars across the bottom, and then you can obviously dangle charms and things like that from them. I mean, if you haven't ever seen any before, they're worth Googling because they are so pretty. I mean, there were tons on there and absolutely gorgeous. People tended to use, in the main, those beautiful velvet ribbons for them, and they looked, oh, just stunning. Really, really stunning. So, yeah, have a look at those if you haven't ever seen them before. But as I say, I didn't have time to get the metal pieces before I was going to need to do the video. You know, because I don't know anywhere locally that would sell them. I would have to order them online and then they wouldn't arrive in time. So I've had to kind of adapt the idea a little bit. So I don't know how neat and nice this is going to look, but it's going to just be my take on those, you know, those paper clips. Not paper clips, bookmarks. I said paper clips because weirdly when I was Googling them I thought, oh, I could kind of do like altered paper clips with those. Anyway, I digress. So we're going to just do it just using the ribbon, and then depending on how I am time wise, I've got my thread sort of ready stitched, but it might be that actually, you know, there's just not time to stitch it and I will just use glue. So what I'm thinking is for our bookmark, I've got this pink ribbon for this project and I've got some pink lace. So if I trim the pink lace down, absolutely ages ago I thought I'd run out of this pink lace, and then I found a little bit more, and again I keep, every time I use it I say, oh, I've hardly got any left. It's still that same bit, because I think a little bit goes a long way, doesn't it, in junk journals, because in the main the bits that we're making are pretty tiny. So although I feel like there's hardly any left, in reality it's, you know, it's still going and lasting quite a long time. Now I'm just going to ink this up. Now this is exactly the same as the last piece in that it's a fabric you know, some fabric that I've stamped and then stitched onto some burlap. So that's that piece there. Now for my ribbon, what I thought I would do is just kind of place the ribbon down like that. So I'll cut the end at one of those, like a banner ending, just like that. I'm going to have this one here, just popped on there like that. And then this here, the back, you kind of have dangling off to be your bookmark, if that makes sense. So all I'm going to do in the first instance is obviously stick my lace down. Oops, come on lace. Come on glue. So I hope everyone's having a really good day. Hope you are doing some crafting. Hopefully you're having fun if you're joining in with the 3 in 30 challenge. And as I've said, and I might have even said it just now, you know, you don't have to do it with the clock. I mean, the clock is just an added, you know, for fun. Before I glue this down, I'm just going to try inking up the very end of this, just to see how this inks up. I don't mind this being bright, but I might as well just see how it comes out. I mean, it just takes the brightness off of there. What do you guys think? Let's just have a look. So that's how that would look. Now this is my little piece of jewellery that I'm going to have hanging off. So that would be it hanging off the end. That would be it off the bright. I think I prefer the bright, but having said that, I kind of think for the charm it needs to be inked. So perhaps what I'll do is ink it, but not quite so dark. So we'll just, you know, lightly ink it. And again, this is a bit of a good stash buster if you, like me, have accumulated a lot of ribbon over the years. You know, it's quite a good way to use up some of those old supplies. I'm just going to check that I'm in frame and filming, because I haven't checked that, I think, at all. Oh, thank goodness. You suddenly get this panic and think, oh no, I haven't checked that. I hope I am filming. Okay. So we're going to put that there. Now what I'm going to do actually is just trim this down here on the edges, so it's a bit neater. There we go. That's that. Now I could do a bit of stamping around there. Do I want to? Probably not. Probably not. So where did I put my piece? Okay, so I'm going to pop the ribbon down through the middle, and again you could stitch this, would be nice. Oops. Now I haven't seen any of those ribbon bookmarks in the flesh. They do look beautiful, like I say. The only thing is they do seem to have the charms on either end, which I'm not doing that on mine, because I can't really see how that's going to work inside your book, because it would ultimately make your book very what's the word? Right, I'm going to make this a bit longer, because obviously, you know, you don't know where your bookmark's going to be hanging out to, but it could be hanging over quite a bit. So if I just trim that there, and then what I'm thinking is, because obviously, you know, I haven't got those metal bits, I'm going to kind of hem it there, and then I'm just going to stitch this here. So obviously, again, if I had a sewing machine here, you know, or my sewing machine here, I would now hem this across, and that would obviously, oops, lost my glue now on the floor. That would obviously look much neater than this is going to look. Well, not necessarily neater, but it would look pretty. It would look pretty, and it would look kind of professional. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to glue it. So there we go. Now, probably I should wait for this to dry a little bit. So I'm just going to clamp that shut just for a few minutes. So hopefully that glues together. So whilst we're waiting for that, we can just finish obviously the front of here. Do we want any bling or anything? Oops, my time is really getting away from me here. I had bought this gold on, which I thought could be really pretty, but maybe it's a bit much. Oh dear, that time's ticking away. Now, what I thought was I'm going to make with the last piece is just some bunting with my ribbons. So if I just quickly just pop some bling on here, I think, and finish this off. So come on, glue. And again, I mean, I could have actually layered this, double layered it, couldn't I? And, where did I put that pink? Should I do that? Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to. So, just because, actually, I think that would look prettier. And sometimes just those tiny things do make quite a bit of difference. So, just go around like that. And then we'll just glue that down. Come on, glue. Okay, that time is really ticking by now. Right, we'll just pop that on like that, and then we can have maybe the little flower to the side. Oh, let's just do that. And then we'll come back to this piece. And if I haven't got time to glue the, to stitch the charm on, I will just kind of show you how it will look once it is stitched. Oh, I'm pulling the flower off. Right, okay. So we'll move that to one side for a moment and we'll just get on with the final piece. So we've literally got like 6 minutes here. So I've got this, I don't know what you'd call this. It's like baker's twine, but it's actually, it's thicker than baker's twine. And then I've just got a few little ribbons here. And so what I thought we could do is just make some little bunting flags. Oops. Just flicking this all over the place now. Hooked over the, why can I not remember the name of this stuff? The baker's twine. So I'm just going to cut that slightly shorter, like that. So, and again, you could obviously glue it, stitch this, but I'm just going to glue it. Come on, like that. So there's one flag. Oh my gosh, is this going to take us like a minute per flag? Because that's how long that one seemed to take. That's not good, is it? So that's that one. I've got this little blue here. So this one, it's skinnier. So what I'll do is just kind of trim it like that. Let me just hook that one over there. Like that. Oops. I want to get them sort of reasonably close. Oh my gosh. This is very fiddly for me. I don't know why I'm finding this quite so fiddly, but it's a fiddly thing. Oh, this might be just an epic fail, to be honest, because this doesn't want to be gluing onto that baker's twine stuff. Right, I'll get another bulldog clip to hold these in place a little bit, like that. Okay, so then should we just go back to this one, let's just kind of keep it simple and go back to this. So again, just cut another little piece there, another flag. And again, we'll just glue that over like that. Now, I have to say, this is where actually hot glue would have been much better. My hot glue gun's broken, and I haven't ordered a new one yet. So, hence I'm, you know, doing it with this 3-in-1. And I'm not saying the 3-in-1 won't work. It's, you know, it will work. It's just, it's not so quick drying. So it's obviously causing a bit of an issue because I'm having to sit here holding it. Where the hot glue obviously would just be dry instantly. Or, you know, pretty much instantly. Right, we'll just do another one of these. Like that. And then I will just do one more, and then I think we'll just finish this so that I can go back to the bookmark piece. So again, we'll just glue that on there. Come on. And obviously you could distress ink these, you know, to make them look more vintage. You can just, you know, play around and kind of do what you like, really, to get different appearances. So I'll just take that off of there and maybe clamp it around this one now so as I can actually let go of it and cut the next flag. Oh my gosh, have you seen the time? Well, I might have to just leave that, to be honest, with just those 4 flags, but 4, that's an even number, which is a bit strange, I find, for bunting. So I'm going to have to do one more. Right, let me put the glue on here like this. Maybe that will be, maybe that would be better. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Okay. I do notice that Rachel's not having to cheat constantly like I am. She's managing to get done in time, which, you know, is great. Oh gosh, come on. I don't know why I can't seem to do it on time. Oh my gosh, I'm down to like the last 1 minute. Well, that was definitely a better way to do the glue. Right, let me pop that out of the way, bring this one back in, unclamp my end, and then get my charm, get my thread, which I've already tied the knot in, so hopefully we're good to go. And I'm just going to stitch my charm on the end of there. And as I say, you know, of course you could just glue this. I mean, again, actually hot glue would probably be great for doing that. Okay. Actually, just looking, it's actually got several holes, so I'm going to move that up slightly, and then I can actually go through, you know, multiple. Oh my gosh, look, now in my rush I have now pulled the thread tight. Oh, my timer has stopped. Let me just unhook that from my thread. Okay, right, I'm going to leave this because, oh, I don't want to just cheat yet again, but just so as you can see enough of that. Oh gosh, come on. And then I will obviously continue this one, you know, in slower time to stitch that on properly. What a disaster. Right, stop that now. Okay. Right, let's have a look at our 3 pieces that we made. This one seems like a really long time ago now, doesn't it? Okay. Let me just pull in a journal to show you how that would look in a journal. So we've got our first piece here. Oops, let me just stand up and check I'm in frame. So that's our belly band piece with the ribbon. So looks super pretty. And I mean, of course, you could decorate that however you like, but I just think the ribbon kind of adds a bit of a nice contrast to the book page. So that's that piece. We then had our bunting piece, so let me just get the bulldog clip off. and just trim that off at the end. So again, that's how that would look, obviously, in your journal, and you could just stick that down. You know, I know it doesn't go with this particular belly band, but you know, you could then just drape your bunting across like that. Really, really pretty. I mean, I know that doesn't go, but you know, if it did, then that would be a really fun little embellishment. And then the final piece that has obviously caused me so much trouble is your belly band. It's caused me trouble, obviously, saying the word out loud as well. Your bookmark. Now, I have not obviously completed stitching this end piece on, but this is your pretty charm at the end that would kind of weigh your bookmark down. So your bookmark would go in there, and then, oops, it would hang out. Oh gosh, I've just dropped everything out of my journal. It would hang out like that over the back. So really pretty and really nice way to use your ribbons, I think. So obviously I have got to finish stitching that on because it's very heavy and is now just pulling down, you know, by the weight of it. So I need to stitch that on properly. But really pretty, nice kind of nice extra, I think, for your journal. And actually, obviously, you could then pop some coffee dyed paper on the back of there, and you'd have a little bit of journaling space there in your bookmark as well. And you'd obviously just move that through your journal. So I hope that you like the pieces that we made, and yeah, I hope if you have a go that you have fun making some bits and bobs with your ribbons. And thanks very much for joining me. Hopefully I will see you again next time. Thanks very much then. Bye.